Hello. Welcome to a Soulful Communique and Magical Calendar. I'm your host, Mary-Laurence Bevington. Title today, Hamnet and Death with a Dash of the Madonna. It's about David, and the calendar's for August 1 through 3, 2026. Ba, ba, ba. I created a scene from the book Hamnet by Maggie O'Farrell. I use it as a teaching demonstration on how to write plays and compose on the spot at a theater conference with four colleagues, all to demonstrate a devising technique called moment work. In sum, I showed a moment in the making. The primary props and costume elements I used were ones that bring funerals to mind: a black raincoat and hat, an umbrella, a mask from the pandemic, an urn nestled in packaging. I sprayed my hair and shoulders with water before entering, as if I'd walked through a light rain. Two of my teaching partners stood by as I entered. They played my watchful attendants and confidants, took my raincoat and hat, shrouded me in a shawl, provided a sound score via Tibetan singing bowl, shined a practical as opposed to a theatrical light, and more. They were real/ethereal characters, and by design, I gave them little direction in advance, apart from just stay with me as we go. I too worked with a formless hunch, as the director Peter Brook wrote about, in that I had a sense of our actions and mind states in the scene, but I wasn't 100% sure, so I set myself up for discovery in the moment. Backstory. I created a character 20 plus years ago inspired by the Grim Reaper with a Madonna look, a hybrid between Jesus's mom and the singer Madonna, called Death Madonna for short. The character came to me after we lost my big brother in real life in 2003. My character in the Hamnet inspired scene was a rebrand of my Death Madonna character and included a bit more realism and contemporary touches, such as the pandemic mask. In the scene, I unpacked something encased in brown paper bags. I did so to create sound follies and to play with symbols of current times, times in which many of us receive packages in the mail around the clock, packages we can't take with us. Finally, I got to the heart of what was in the bags, a makeshift urn. This part didn't read, "Will fix for the future," so it's clear that someone's ashes are in the container. Almost brought my own urn. Yes, I already own my own spirit vessel urn, but was worried it might break in transit to and fro the conference. In any case, I stayed in my own private Idaho within the scene, in that Death Madonna knew the container represented an urn, and that it contained my mother's ashes. In real life, my mom's ashes are in a small cake box with her medical school/cadaver lab donor number written in Sharpie marker on the top. The box spoons alongside 13 other donors in an Atlanta graveyard as I write. Within the scene and once revealed, I give the urn to one of my ethereal attendants to hold as I read a brief passage from Hamnet. In the passage, Agnes, Hamnet's mom, is losing her son. Hamnet, Anne, confused in what I have begun to call the fog of dying. I read from my mom's actual copy of Hamnet, within which my mom happened to pencil in a note in the margin, which I also read and explained to my audience. And by the way, that happened in real life. Okay, let's see here. That was pretty much the beginning, middle, and end of my scene. Ba-da-da-da. Once complete, one of my colleagues gave a mini debrief, and we went on to make tiny moments based on old-timey photographs to further our workshop. All told, the objective of teaching was complete, but my beginning, middle, and end regarding the scene continues to radiate. I'll explain, partly by backing up. Flying to the conference, I swirled into a major Mandela effect experience, which I'll tell you about on another day. Once the conference completed, I fell into a something I don't know / the fog of dying. Perhaps the same something Agnes, Hamnet's mom, seems to have experienced. Lasted for hours. Here's a snippet of what happened to me in these hours. In the late evening of the night I came home, I stared at Luna through the kitchen window. She'd waxed almost all the way and held a burnt orange honey hue, a buck moon. I'd seen a young buck plus 4 does earlier that afternoon. How apropos. A few minutes later, I was stung by a scorpion, felt like a bee sting, and happened to be the second intimate scorpion meetup in my life. My first scorpion sting involved neurotoxins and occurred in 2018 on the banks of the Colorado River in Grand Canyon, and 12 weeks after my younger brother passed. After this hello to Luna and scorpion sting, I slept through the night. I awoke, still in the fog of dying, then wrote to all of you. To do so, I studied the astrology, just the daily, and bracketing day aspects, and contemplated this full moon. Da-da-da-do-do-do. As fate would have it, my soulful communique and magical calendar that full moon day offered misinformation, which I attended to as soon as I figured it out. Matters were a mess, but my cleanup job worked. Also, the fixing gave me compassion for when others make errors and respect for the kaleidoscope of astrology and energetic currents we navigate. There's just so much. I'm certain the fog of dying effect reprised the Mandela effect for me somewhat, in that I wasn't sure if I was afoot or horseback. P.S. Something like this happened to my teacher, Raphael, recently, and to Katie Couric, though they both might describe their experiences with different words. Anywho, I make a point to remember birthdays, and yet went to bed having spaced my cousin David's birthday, pronounced David. Perhaps a compounded Mandela meets the fog of dying effect. David taught me Rastafarian philosophy when we were little kids. We grew up in San Juan. He grew up in San Juan. I grew up in Atlanta. But we connected in the summers at our grandparents' home near the beach in Rhode Island. We played baseball with a soccer ball, drew pictures, and he showed me how to surf. He was virtuosic. I never got up on the board. As grown-ups, we shared a connectedness to spiritual concepts, dogs, and comedy. We often tried to make each other laugh, usually by disguising humor as seriousness, his superpower. David had a heart condition, beginning in his long ago, probably in utero. I had a heart thing as a child too, but mine was a nothing burger for the most part. Nothing compared to his. But perhaps an invisible bond, as we were both heart folk / sensitive cats. We lived together for a spell as grown-ups in Colorado. Little down the road, he stayed in Colorado, but moved into his own place. I was in his orbit when he received open heart surgery and a titanium valve at the Boulder Community Hospital. We did an energy workshop together because he was a Reiki master and I was up for anything groovy. I recall hearing the tick-tock of his internal pacemaker as we meditated in the workshop. For some reason, it gave us the giggles. David came to my brother's and my parents' funerals, attended my graduate school graduation, and was in fact the only one in my family who made it. We'd spoken more recently about alternative ways of working with his health, which had become more complicated with an AFib attack, a bit after Bad Bunny's Puerto Rican residency, but before Bad Bunny's Super Bowl halftime show. Then and since, David endured 7 hospital stays. So fast forward back to the day after this past full moon. A few hours after my most recent scorpion sting, I awoke, played music, said hello to my dogs, drank electrolytes. I stave off screen time as long as I can in the morning. At this point, I still didn't recall David's birthday, but I had emerged from my Space Cadet mind state and opened my Messenger app. My cousin, Alfredito, had sent word, "Dearest Mary, it breaks my heart to let you know that David passed yesterday morning on his birthday. ... Suddenly alert and fixated on the sensation of my heart having at once sunk to my feet and risen to my eyes, I felt my death Madonna character breathe. Death gentle, death embracing, death walking through a newly opened lion's gate, an exact Aquarian full moon exactly on his natal sun, the self, a 9-year cycle just beginning for David. At first, I was racked with guilt for having not inventoried the signs. Psst. I wrote about the messages from the birds a couple of communiques ago, if you're curious. But also, David's master numerology was 10, and July 29th was a hidden 11 day, a gateway, a day that likely elevated into full 11ness in that 29 is also an 11. 2 plus 9 equals 11. 11, 11, double rainbow all the way. As usual, silver linings melted my guilt from my fog of dying away in many ways. Not to mention a circa 4-hour professional development class with my primary clairvoyant teacher, Raphael, yesterday, in which I moved a whole heck of a lot of energy. Also, David's mother, my tia Elena, in the wake of losing her son, let me know that everyone underestimated, everyone experienced the fog of dying around David. As hard as his row was to hoe, no one quite saw it coming. Even David's doctors. And that now, Elena told me, he was free. Her words gave me the sense that all was clear, severe clear. That's what our abuela would say, severe clear. David was tall, dark, and handsome. He'd been a model as a young man, and he carried a counselor's degree as well as a counselor's wisdom. David had a real life ability to connect, unwavering devotion to his dog, and the gifts of seers. I'm sure the last time we spoke on the phone, he knew it might be our last. I heard it in his voice, yet toggled into my fog of dying / underestimated. Instead, we sparred comic style, tried to make each other laugh. And the rest is silence. Our message from the universe today is exhale and love that space you just made for your next inhale. Got kind of an amazing image by Joel Henry, licensed by Unsplash today. It's from the photographer. This is a note from the photographer. It's a quote, a striking narrowband astrophotograph of Sharpless 2-308, known as the Dolphin Head Nebula in Canis Major, formed around the bright Wolf-Rayet star EZ Canis Majoris. This ethereal bubble of ionized oxygen gas spans over 60 light years in deep space. Unquote. So mind-boggling. Ah, star systems, how they capture my imagination. Okay, a little magical astro calendar, August 1st through the 3rd, Eastern Daylight Time, GMT, -5 hours. Magical calendar is simply something to commune with, to approach as a practice. Let the forecast wash over you and see how it feels in your body. August 1st. That was technically yesterday, but I think it's such a cool day. Lammas and Luna in Pisces, and a 108 day if you bring the day in front of the month. Jerry G's heavenly birthday too. The Lammas tradition is to bless the first loaves of bread made from the first harvest of the season. In the northern hemisphere, it sits between the summer solstice and the autumnal equinox as August begins. Ooh, August 2nd, Luna's in between Pisces and Aries from 8:33 a.m. until 4:37 p.m. Plus, we're blessed with another hidden 11 day. We just had one on July 29th, as you probably recall from everything I just read. The full moon in Aquarius day, a lunar return for me because I was born when Luna was in Aquarius. Yay! Aquarian moon. August 3rd, our friend Chiron moves into retrograde motion at 4:10 p.m. Chiron was wounded and also a healer, and he represents seeking out healing / believing in the power of healing, irrespective of our wounds. Okay, notes on some of what just happened. Saturn retrograded on 726. Love me some 726 because of the Goose song 726. If I slurred those words, it was goose, goose. Okay, here we go. Outer planet trine / basket across the compass rose begins to lose some of its influence, yet pulses in our background. The ascending / north lunar node now in Aquarius, energy we soar to. The descending / south to Leo, energy we soar from, will wobble on this lunar axis for circa 18 months / till early 2028. Next time this happens will be circa 18 years and 6 months from now-ish. Jupiter Cazimi also happened, plus the July 29th full moon in Aquarius at 6 degrees 30 minutes. So that's the first decan. So that amplifies the sign that it's in. So it's like air of fixed air, which is Aquarius upon air at 10:36 a.m. And it was a hidden 11 day as well, as already mentioned. Repeating myself a bit here. I'm in the 11-11-11 Mandela fog of dying place right now. Notes on some of what's around the bend. So we're open in Lionsgate portal at the moment. It peaks at 8/8, August 8th, and it'll be open till the 12th. And we just had Lammas on the 8th, on the 1st. Chiron retrode, will retro on the 3rd, as mentioned. Venus moves into Libra on the 6th. Mercury enters Leo on the 9th. Mars enters Cancer on the 11th. Same day, Juno enters Capricorn also on the 11th. So that would be another 11 day, just with the micro number, not the master number. Ceres enters Cancer on the 12th. Perseid meteor showers peak 12th, 13th. Total solar eclipse on the 12th in Leo at 20 degrees 2 minutes. Pallas retros on the 14th. I like to call Pallas Athena. And then also more to say there, but basically there's also a partial lunar on the 28th in Pisces at 4 degrees 54 minutes and more. And I will just say that first total solar is the totality of it is going to cross Russia, Greenland, Iceland, Spain, and a teeny tiny bit of Portugal. So it's going to be stronger in the European zone and above, Russia to Europe, and North Atlantic is another way you could think of that too. So we'll feel it. You know, if you're in the Americas, you're going to definitely feel it, but we're in the outer bands of it. And it may give us a teeny bit of reprieve because we have had in the Americas two really strong eclipses over the last, now it's a little more than 10 years. So, or just under 10 years, actually, 2017 and 2024, we had these really strong eclipses, total solars in North America. So I'm going to do a little talky talk with my friend KM Garland about eclipse season because it's so giantly loaded with all this other stuff, everything, everywhere happening all at once. Kevin's a better astrologer than me, if you ask me. Astrology is like really giant, so I just pick a few things and play with a few things. Kevin has this amazing mind that aggregates a lot of knowledge, and he's also a specialist in human design. So we'll talk a little bit about a huge 412-year cycle in human design ending next year, and how these eclipses are leading into that, and I don't know what else we'll talk about. Maybe the Odyssey a bit, the movie and the story, and how there's a disconnect a little bit between the story and the movie, which I find kind of fascinating. And because it's such a giant myth as well, at least in kind of more the Greco-Roman Western tradition, it's a myth. And yeah, let's leave it there. I really appreciate you being here. Special thanks to Alex, Ada, Big Ricky, Deanna, Ginger, Jude, Kelly, KM, Lara, Laura, M, Lazardsky, Marnie, PJ, Peggy, Fally, Siegel, Soster, Terry, Tina Z, and Cheryl's all for now friends till tomorrow. And in Carrying the Light, Mary-Laurence Bevington. Also special thanks to Lou Allen's 2026 Astrological Daily Ephemeris and Aspectarian. I feel like one of those commercials for pharmaceuticals where they say all the side effects at the end really, really, really fast. Ah, you'll probably have me on speed because I naturally speak very slowly. Okay, let's call it. Take it easy, everybody. Much love. Bye.